All right, so I'm very nervous, I would say, to have this conversation because it's something I've been a little bit hesitant to talk about. There's a lot of conversation right now about what it's like running an online business during COVID-19. What's changing, what's working, what's not working, what we all should be doing. And I'll be the first to tell you that I don't know. I've never been through this before, and I've never been through a recession while running a business or anything like that. So the best I can do is share with you the trends that I'm noticing so far in my business. So what I decided to do as soon as found out that this was happening, was starting to really affect my business as well as a lot of my clients' businesses. What I decided to do is really start to track everything that's going on in a more detailed way. So what I've been doing is tracking a few key areas. Number one are calls. Number two are socials. Number three is advertising. And then number four is launching and emails. And so those are the areas that I've been really tracking in my business. And I've been asking and checking in with my clients and finding out from them as well, so that it's not just what's going on with me, but also what's going on with my clients too. And I'll tell you that there are some trends going on kind of across the board. So I'm going to share those trends with you. This is based on my business and my clients' businesses. I'm not going to make any projections or predictions or anything like that, but I do really recommend this method of really keeping track of what's going on in your business, what's changing, so that you can use those trends to start to inform the decisions that you are making. And that's what I'm doing. I'm using these to figure out what changes I want to make in my business and what I'm going to recommend to my clients as well. So I'll give you a little, sneak peek of what we've been talking about, and also what I'm doing. So what things are we doing that are maybe a little bit different than usual now that this is going on? Okay, so I'm going to start rattling them off. I've got them all written down here. So if you see me looking over here, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so let's actually start with advertising because this is the most exciting actually. So one really cool thing that's going on is that ad costs are down. And I was speaking with one of my friends who is a Facebook ads manager, and she was saying that actually the cost per lead right now is the lowest that they've seen in the last 5 years. So basically what happens is when you run ads on Facebook, the price of the ad is based on a supply and demand model, from what I understand. So in times like around the holidays or in the summer, usually ad costs go up because all of us are off social, so therefore it costs more money to get your ad in front of people's eyeballs. So right now, since so many of us are spending a lot more time on Facebook, Instagram, and just on our phones in general, or our computers in general, ad costs are down. So that's really exciting. So ads for webinar registrations and ads for any kind of freebies are down right now. So that's really exciting. The cost per conversion is costing even less than usual. So that's really great news. If you are running ads right now, this is actually a great time. And if you're just dipping your toe into running ads, it's still a great time because it's not like a really high ad cost. And if you kind of mess it up, which happens when you first start running ads, you're not going to go broke. So good news, ad costs are down. Bad news, tripwire convert. So if you have a tripwire, meaning a small offer that you have on the back end of your freebie, tripwire conversions are down right now. So not as many people are making those small little impulsive purchases as they were pre-COVID in my business. Webinar conversions are actually up. So we haven't done a webinar during this time, but across the board with my clients, webinar conversions are actually up, which is really exciting. So if you can get people to come to your webinar, that's really great for you. So the sales conversion rate, this is again according to Facebook Ads Manager, sales conversion rate is up to 1.5% on products that are like above $1,000. So 1.5% is what you can kind of expect. All right, so that's the good news. Ad news is good news right now. The cost per conversion is down. Webinar conversions are up. These are all good things. Okay, when it comes to calls, this is where the bad news starts to come in. The rate at which people are booking calls, so what I call the book call rate, is actually down. The show rate is also down. So if people, what that means is like people book a call with you and sometimes kind of ghost you and don't show up to the calls. So more often people are not showing up to their calls, which is a bit of a bummer, but also to be expected. And this is especially true for people who booked calls more than 3 weeks ago. So if this call was on the books and they scheduled in when before all this went down, they're more likely to not show up to your calls. So keep that in mind. Also, call conversions are down, not by too much, but we've noticed that they are down, because obviously people are feeling a little bit less optimistic and having a little bit more hesitation when investing in things on a call. So what we've done is we decided across the board for myself and my clients, whatever our goal was in terms of how many calls we wanted to book in order to hit our income goal, we've just doubled it. So I don't know if that's the best, thing to do, but we decided to just be really, really overcompensate and try to book double the amount of calls that we had originally planned for this quarter when we mapped everything out. So Q2, we are majorly upping how many calls we want to book. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a second, but let's just go through everything. So socials, this is where the good news comes back into play. Social, how captive the audience is really up on social right now. We're all on our phones, including Instagram and Facebook, 20% more, which I think is kind of crazy because I feel like we're all already on our phones so much. And so the fact that we're on 20% more is crazy to me. But what that means is that it's a really great time for you to be showing up for your audience on social. So continue to use social media marketing. We're noticing we're getting more DMs, more comments, and more replies to Instagram stories. So specifically with stories, we're getting a lot of great traction there. So if you aren't using Instagram stories yet, get on Instagram stories, or increase your efforts and start asking people to engage with you. So like ask questions that will get people to slide into your DMs or polls, or use the comment box and stuff like that. People are having more genuine conversations right now, so use that to your advantage. Also, more people are showing up on live videos. So if you have a live video like this one, or if you're going live specifically on Instagram, if you've been doing that weekly, a lot more people are showing up live rather than watching the replay. Which I think is what was happening more often before. So it's a great time to go live. If your dream clients are watching you live on a live video, it really warms them up quickly, because it's almost like hanging out. Like you guys maybe feel like we're hanging out together, as close to hanging out as we kind of can right now. So leverage that. More live videos. You'll notice a lot of people are doing a lot more live videos. Don't let that discourage you. Your people, will show up to your live videos. So show up rate on lives is way up, and that's great news. Okay, let's get into launches. Okay, so some of the things that we've noticed with launching is that what I suggested to my clients, the clients who are already going into a launch, what we decided to implement is to start talking about people's objections way before the launch. So have that conversation with people. If people are, whatever their concerns are, start bringing them up and having address them. Like address those concerns in your videos before you ever even start launching. So if you're in your videos or your emails, your content in any way, started addressing people's concerns. And some of my clients did that, and some of my clients just continued as normal with the content that they had scheduled, and they still had conversions, but the people who addressed the concerns had way higher conversion rates on their sales calls when they actually did launch. So this is something that I really highly recommend for launching. People are feeling hesitant to make investments right now, which is, pretty understandable. So have those conversations with people, talk about, anything that might be concerning them about maybe the price, about how much time they need, about, whatever else might be specific to your program. How much, if you're like a nutritionist or something, how different will the diet be, or blah, blah, blah. So address those concerns for sure. And that leads to higher conversion rates on calls. And we've noticed that email open rates are down right now. Less people are opening their emails, but email replies are actually up. So this is a great time to ask people to reply to you and get more emails in your inbox. So that's that. And so what does all this mean? I just basically threw a bunch of, stats at you, and it is a little bit overwhelming. But what we've been doing is basically using that information to get us to think about, all right, what are the areas that we want to focus on? And what we decided was we want to simplify as much as possible. So we've decided to focus in two main areas. Number one is brand awareness. This is super important. So as I mentioned before, like more people are showing up on social, more people are commenting, DMing, all of that stuff. So this is a great time to show up more on social, get into people's inboxes, really focus on your content strategy, and actually you should do both. Reach out to your friends or colleagues or whoever who have your audience already and collaborate with them. Reach out to podcasts, get yourself on some more podcasts, do maybe some joint venture webinars with your friends or something like that. So now's a really great time to get your name out there and create a relationship with people and specifically, having them start to understand you, your brand, and overall like your business philosophy, because people need to feel more connected to you in order to make purchasing decisions right now. So that's number one. So that's one area that we're really focusing on, and that's what I'm recommending to all of my clients as well. And then the second area that we're really focusing on is building relationships. So as I kind of alluded to earlier, we want to get more people in our DMs, replying to our comments, all of that stuff, because the better of a relationship that you can create with people now, the more likely they are to say yes when they're on the phone with you. So that's why we're still focusing on booking calls with people, because it's really important to create that relationship, make them feel comfortable, make them feel supported in making a buying decision if it is the right fit for them. So we're focusing on, number one, every single day doing our non-negotiables. You guys know, I constantly talk about non-negotiables, but it's because they're so important. And I know that some of us maybe have been slacking on them because everything's been so crazy. But my number one recommendation is to double down on your daily profit habits, or what I call the daily non-negotiables, because it's just like, don't mess around. And that's going to really help with that brand awareness, as well as getting more people into your calendar. And then number two, we're focusing on creating those relationships and booking more calls. So as I mentioned, we want to book double the amount of calls that we were before. And so those are our two main strategies, and we are keeping it really simple. We're not trying to overcomplicate. We're not changing everything. With most of my clients, we're not changing their Q2 strategy very much at all. There's some people whose industries will need to make changes. It's just, they have to, but a lot of us don't, and we just need to make sure that we're focusing on a couple main areas, and the ones that I'm focusing on are brand awareness and creating those relationships. So I hope that's helpful for you, and maybe, can make you feel a little more at ease, because you don't have to feel like, okay, I have to change everything and try, implement this whole new strategy. We actually are doing things, we're really trying to simplify as much as possible. And if you look at some of the industry leaders right now, you'll notice that that's what they're doing as well. It's really about creating clear messaging and simplifying as much as possible right now. So that's my update. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that I am hosting a webinar at the beginning of next month, and I'm really excited to host this webinar. So I'll leave a link here. It's all about creating systems in your business, and I'm going to share with you behind the scenes of the exact system that I use to scale, mostly on autopilot. So if that's something you're interested in, then you can go to alyssacoleman.ca/systems and check it out. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you there.